Yeah.
To build credit.
Build credit. Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back.
Hello.
How
you is?
I is good. How you is?
You
Rose?
is good? You sure? You be a bit stressed?
I'm not stressed at all. I'm just living my best life. It's Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I made you a chamomile tea so you can relax.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, guys, if my voice is a little bit like hoarse. I feel like my body's just internally
You need to get
down.
some rest, Daniel.
Yes.
You be burning yourself out.
Damn, life be busy.
You be doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. I told Daniel that we need to start socializing more, and we've both taken that to the extreme level.
Which is good.
As we always do. We're very extreme people.
I'm like, perfect. I can fit in working out 5 times a week, a home reno, the podcast, dating, and
a full-time
socializing,
job.
and a full-time job. No problem. I mean, no one needs to see the state of my house right now, so that's totally fine.
Yeah, I finally cleaned my home like 2 days ago, and it's already getting messy.
I was going to say, did you?
Well, I didn't clean my office. Thank you very much. I would appreciate a little, acknowledgement.
You cleaned the main area?
I told you it was getting messy again. Guys, the clean house does not last very long.
It does. It's crazy. It's like the next thing you know, it's
I know.
just...
I know. Yeah. Let's not get into that.
Let's not.
Anyway,
at
guys, we got some new Patrons.
We sure do.
Woo woo. Guys, just a reminder, if you want to join us on Patreon, you get exclusive episodes every single month.
Mm-hmm.
This month, we're going to talk about the controversial new video by the Cosmic Skeptic on YouTube. So if you guys didn't catch, I think we talked about it in the previous Patreon exclusive.
Yeah.
But basically, we talked about his community post on YouTube where he basically talked about why he was no longer vegan.
Yep.
Cosmic Skeptic is this like YouTuber guy that talks about philosophy, and he's like very into like philosophical, ethical arguments, these things. And he was vegan for a couple years maybe. Yeah. And recently he's announced that he's no longer vegan. And he did it initially on a community post, and now he's finally made a video.
Double down.
And we got to discuss it. There's a lot to discuss. And we're going to do it on Patreon because,
we like to be a bit more, how do you say it, Rose?
Raw. So if you guys want to hear our thoughts on that, that will be in the March exclusive. Yep. And so you get the exclusive episodes every month, and you get every episode a week earlier than everyone else, and you get ad-free content. So make sure you join us. It is patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. The links are always in the show notes and the YouTube description. And you get a little shout out.
You do, and it starts as little as $3 a month, guys.
Yeah.
So
shout out to
Alex.
Mary Orby. No, I'm so sorry. Mary Orby. There you go.
Mary Orby. Okay, Mary Orby.
What a name.
Jagoda.
Jagoda.
Thanks, you so
guys.
much.
Sorry we butchered your names, but we appreciate the support. So make sure you join on Patreon.
Yeah, and for our new patrons as well, feel free to give us a message. Let us know what you would like us to talk about in maybe April or May's exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll touch on it in the March exclusive if we have time.
Oh, god dang.
Anyway, guys.
God
damn. March exclusive is coming soon, my friends.
So, guys, we are now going to get into our regular episode, and this is going to be another venting episode.
Oh, goddamn. This is all we're doing. Oh, you are in a mood. An angry Daniel's my favorite Daniel.
I know, it's so funny because like me and Rose will be out, and Rose always like because normally I'm like pretty like consistent.
Recently
I know. Okay, you know what, Rose? You know what?
You know what they say about older age,
I'm turning into a bitter old man. Oh my god, it's like that movie like Grumpy Old Men. That's gonna be me.
Is that a movie?
Yeah, there's like a movie called Grumpy Old Men. But basically, guys.
Are we getting into it?
We're getting into it. Unless, did you have any other announcements?
No.
Oh, the trip.
Oh, guys, by the way, there are still spots available for Thailand and Bali. So if you guys want to come with us to Thailand and or Bali,
Yep.
the links are always, again, going to be in the show notes until the spots sell out.
And they are filling up.
Yeah,
so
they are filling up,
go-
guys. And it's going to be so much fun. It's going to be vegan. We're going to chill. We're going to do fun things, eat delicious vegan food. It's going to be a fun time.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
It'll be nice. It'll be the
It'll
relaxation
be so
I
nice.
need.
Oh my God, it'll be so nice. Although it's a little crazy. Like there's probably going to be a lot of activities.
Oh, God damn.
But we'll do some relaxation as well.
Damn.
Anyway, my friends.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about, okay?
We gotta clarify things again.
Yes.
Or double down.
We're gonna
again.
double down because you know how much we love it when people double down. We are also gonna fucking double down here.
We're
Okay.
becoming a controversial podcast.
We
Daniel.
it's very quickly. I didn't realize how controversial it was becoming because obviously we had the whole we're fat shamers
And now what, Daniel? We're child groomers.
and now we're child groomers.
Okay.
Well,
no. Let's not. People didn't say that. But
That's
still.
true. That's true. They
But,
didn't say
I mean,
that. But.
Okay, you go.
So
You have a
basically,
lot to
guys,
say.
I do have a lot to say about this. So basically, guys, what we're talking about, which recently came out, is around drag show performances and how there's this law or legislation or bill that's trying to get passed in the U.S., which is basically going to be like banning drag shows from certain areas. It's going to be only to like 18 plus venues.
Yeah.
Now, I know this has become a really big trend in a lot of cities. A lot of cities are having like drag brunches, or there might be like Pride in the Park performances
Right.
or things like that. So I guess like this bill could potentially stop that so that it restricts performers to be just in a nightclub. Now, the reason behind this and why a lot of Republicans, this is Republican law, of course, is they're saying that drag show performances are harmful to children.
Sure.
So that's their main argument. They're like, it's not that good, blah, blah, blah.
They're
So
sexualizing. They're yeah. Basically, that's what it is. That's what they're saying, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think.
They're basically like, yeah, this is too sexual of a performance, blah, 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 blah. I have a lot of things to say about this. Basically, like, yeah, saying that it's over-sexualized, all this stuff, and that, like, kids shouldn't be going. And we want to protect our children. This is the big thing. They want to protect
They
our
always
children.
want to protect the fucking kids.
Yeah, but I was surprised because me and Rose talked about this the last episode or 2 episodes ago.
2 episodes ago, yeah.
People lost it.
There were some people that were like, "God damn, I didn't know. I thought you got. I didn't think that would be a controversial."
But it is.
Apparently, it is.
So one person. So I have to address a couple of the comments.
That the Republican marketing is working.
Oh, apparently it is.
Yeah.
Then for the first comment, which really, really
Irked you?
irked me the most.
Should I read it out loud?
No, let's not read it out loud. I don't want
Okay.
to name and shame.
Okay, you don't
even though
wanna
we
name and
could. But
Sure.
somebody had commented, and again, we're open to feedback and criticism, and like,
Are we?
yeah, no, it doesn't sound like we are, but we are.
We have our opinions.
Yeah, but like, you know what? If somebody had come up and said, "Hey, here's some studies or some valid proof
Sure.
as to why these are actually harmful to children," then okay, cool. But the first person that commented, of course, brought up my favorite topic, which is the Bible, and said about how that particular lifestyle is considered an abomination. Because originally I had said, hey, number one, first of all, there are not hundreds of drag show performances just in the
I know.
streets. First of all,
It's just like not a big thing.
it's not.
God, it's just crazy.
Secondly, generally, when there is a drag show performance, you have to go to where they're performing, be it
Yeah.
at drag brunch, be it at a nightclub, be it at a festival or whatever. You physically have to go. And if somebody has kids, they have the choice
Yes.
to bring their children.
Yeah.
There is nobody forcing you to take your kids to a drag show. If you don't want to take them to a drag show because you believe that it's XYZ, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Like, no one's forcing you. So that's
Yeah.
that's number one.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I have it to comment, and I said, like, one of the things that I think is really important, especially with children, is when you expose children to lots of different things. Like, for example, if you have a lot of like mixed racial, multiracial friends, all this stuff, and your kids grow up around that kind of atmosphere, they're more accepting and less likely to become a racist, right? Like that's just as naturally because it's not foreign to them. It's not something that's like,
Sure.
And it's the same with like gay people and like drag queens and trans and all of these things that are considered like kind of alternative, if you will, or different from the norm. It's like, if you expose your children to that, and I'm not saying like over sexualized ass clapping, cheeks in the face and shit, but
Apparently they think they're all like that. I don't.
They're not.
Okay.
Like maybe in the nightclub they probably are. Like they're a bit more
people
like.
People are saying like some of the comments said, and maybe I'm, maybe they are like they were saying like there are situations where they show their ass or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it.
They might wear like little panties and
Here's
stuff.
the thing. There probably are.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that this is not the norm. Okay.
Yeah.
I imagine that there were maybe 1 or 2 instances where this happened. It was filmed and posted online, and everyone thinks this is what drag show, are
all about.
Yeah. For children.
And it's funny because, like, again, kind of digressing a little bit, but I was on TikTok, surprisingly.
You were on TikTok.
Which doesn't happen often.
That's good.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
I don't go on that often.
Okay,
TikTok.
continue.
What do you think I is?
I don't know. Every time I send you a TikTok, you're like, I saw that already.
It's because our algorithms are identical. But anyway, some ladies, a couple people, it wasn't just one. It was, I think I saw 2, where some moms were like joking about everything because they're also hearing all this backlash about drag shows. And they're like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to go undercover. I'm going to take my kids and let's see what happens at these drag shows.
Did they show?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she like filmed her 2 young daughters at the drag show. The 2 young daughters had the best time. The performance artists brought them up like into the middle where they were doing the drag brunch. They like did little like things like fun.
And did they do some ass clapping, Daniel?
No, they did not.
Did they expose their ass cheeks?
No. I mean, yes, they were wearing like skimpy clothes.
Yeah.
But like they weren't like ass clapping in front of the children on the table, you know? So, and that, I think I saw 2 TikToks that were like that. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And even the lady was like, the kids were like leaving and smiling and laughing. She's like, oh, my kids are so traumatized from this, this experience. I should definitely shelter them from it. But anyway, like on a side point, again, guys, this is a choice. Like I'm not saying, hey, if you're not comfortable taking your kids to a drag show, don't take your kids to a drag show. But what I'm saying is there are some people that don't mind taking their children to a drag show because they don't see the harm in it. Personally, if I had kids, I would let them go to a drag show. I wouldn't, everybody's parenting is different, but like, why are you restricting performers and saying, hey, you know what? You can't perform in these certain areas because actually you're a danger to kids when none of that's been proven. Like, show me any studies where it's like, shit has happened. Some kids got fucked up from a drag show. And I would argue, they talk about the over-sexualization of it. Yeah. Look at like the Super Bowl performances and,
literally everywhere.
Pop performers,
hip hop music videos. Come on, guys.
Don't tell me that like
this is such like
it's
a bullshit argument. It's just like, it's because it's drag specifically.
100%.
Like, let's be fucking honest. Sexualization is everywhere.
Exactly. Think about like even just like growing up, like for us, like our generation, we had the Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. It's getting
hot in here.
So take off all your clothes.
That was a huge fucking song. Exactly. I was like 12.
Exactly. And like, you imagine like young girls and boys going to like a Britney Spears concert. Love Britney Spears. She would be up on stage in a fucking bikini and a fucking thong, shaking her ass. Yeah. So tell me why that's okay.
Nobody wants to ban that.
No.
And I'm sure there are less than 18-year-olds going to Britney Spears or other concerts.
Think about all the little kids that go to those concerts.
It's just bullshit. Like, you just know. I'm sorry, guys. It's bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure a lot of you believe it, but it is because that's the narrative that's been spun.
Yeah.
Because this is the dangerous thing. And again, they are not happening everywhere. There's like maybe one place in our entire city that does like a drag show once like fucking every 2 weeks. Like, it's not a big concern.
You have to go seek it out. That's the thing. You have to go seek it out.
There are bigger, like, I can't, like, there are bigger fish to fry. I don't know what the vegan term for that is. Okay.
There's larger pieces of tofu to fry. Okay.
Exactly. Like, this is not the main concern. If you're concerned about sexualization, there are literally so many other things that you could potentially ban.
Exactly.
But of course, why are we banning the drag shows?
But this is what I mean. It's like, you're right. Like, I mean, and that's like to my point, like to both of our points. It's like, look at, okay, so should we ban all pop performers that dress skankily? I mean, look at some of these songs, Wet Ass Pussy, all this shit, and kids are listening to that, guys. We're not banning that stuff. We're not saying, oh, hey, maybe it has an 18 plus rating, but are we monitoring our children and saying, hey, you can't listen to these songs? Like,
are you gonna ban music videos from households where kids are under 18? Like, come on, guys.
But this is what I mean. Like,
it's everywhere.
Exactly. And they're saying, oh, this is having a detrimental impact on children. So anyway,
and I would understand if drag shows were inherently supposed to be sexual. Yeah. And we can have a conversation about not doing the ass clapping or whatever the fuck. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, that's not something that we necessarily want. Yeah. And I would say to those drag places that they probably shouldn't be doing that, especially because now people are gonna use that as like an excuse
Food
not
for
to
fodder or whatever.
Yeah. But like when it comes to like I've seen things about like drag show or drag readings. I don't really know what that is, but I guess it's like maybe reading to children about what drag is. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like that's not sexual. Like, it's just it's just an excuse.
Yeah,
They're always using this kind of excuse.
I agree with you. And honestly, because I've been to a bunch of drag show performances, but I would go in like a nightclub.
Yeah.
Right? So when I've been to drag show
That's
performance,
different.
exactly. And some of them can get pretty sexual, you know, like, and I understand that. Personally, I actually have not gone to a drag brunch yet. I really do want to go.
Yeah.
But I've seen videos of drag brunches, and yeah, you know, drag queens do dress in some skimpy outfits,
Yeah.
right? Like that's part of the like drag aesthetic and all
Yeah.
this. But like, I think that the ass clapping that people are referring to, like,
Maybe happened once.
yeah, I'm seeing that as more of an exception because typically, like,
Yeah.
if it's drag show brunch, they might be dancing around. Maybe they'll do the splits onto the floor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that kind of stuff. Maybe they'll do a couple reads because everyone loves when drag queens read.
Oh, like when they're dissing people?
Yeah, yeah. The library, Rose, is open.
Oh, the library's open.
All this kind of stuff. But again, so I commented about this. I actually commented to this one person's comment, and I was like, I think that, you know, depending, and again, it's your choice if you want to bring your kids.
It's your choice.
But I do feel like bringing your kids to like more alternative things is actually, and just growing and having them grow up where this stuff is like more normalized.
Yes.
They're actually going to become more compassionate, more
Yes.
caring individuals.
Understanding, open to different lifestyles.
And I would argue that kids, and maybe I'm left field here, I don't know if there's any studies, but I would argue kids that grow up in mixed racial households, in same-sex couples, in, you know, alternative lifestyle families are generally
more
open-minded
Yes.
and actually compassionate, maybe not compassionate, but like more just like
more likely maybe to be.
exactly, and less likely to be racist and homophobic and all of these other things versus like actual things that have been proven to hurt kids, such as fucking guns.
It's true.
Yeah.
Guys, this is not the pressing issue.
No.
It's the point.
But this is what
Like the fact that we're like this is the main topic of discussion.
it blows my mind.
Is concerning to me.
It is. But I feel like the thing is, and I don't know if it's on purpose or deliberate, but I feel like the Republicans are really good at like really getting people heated up about topics.
Yes, that don't matter.
Yeah, such as like, or that matter, but they're taking it the wrong way. Like for example, all the abortion stuff that was going on, all of the, you know, the drag show performances, all of this stuff now.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are legitimately things where I'm like, what the fuck? Why are we, again, and I said this on the
You mean
last episode.
overturning the abortion thing?
Yeah, overturning that kind of stuff. And I'm like, why are we focusing on these things that literally guys, there's like so many other things that we should be focusing on. And I feel like they're good at it because they distract people, right? They're like, let's focus on drag shows about harming children versus let's actually get really fired up about gun laws and legislation. Like they're really good at like almost
pivoting
like
the conversation.
Exactly. Moving it to that area. Because then it's like
now this is all we're talking about.
Exactly. It's the what I would call, I think it's an expression where they say it's like the red herring.
Okay.
The red herring is like you're focusing on the wrong thing. There's other stuff going on and you're laser focused on that. Yeah.
They're very good at it. They've always done it. It's like things that like literally do not matter.
Exactly.
For example, you know, when there's a school shooting, they'll be like, it's video games.
Yeah.
And they'll like hone in on video games.
Yeah.
And like metal music and like shit like this.
I know. I'm like,
there's always some kind of cultural reason as to why. It's never the fact that there's guns everywhere in the United States.
Yeah.
It's never that.
No.
It's the video games.
And I feel like this whole this bill, and I don't know if it's been passed yet. I think it's been proposed.
Right.
Like I think it has, because I think bills at least in the US, it takes time. Like they have to get approved and go through this whole review process, which also means that all of your guys' government officials are voting on this stuff, wasting time on this bullshit.
Yeah.
When it's like, well, why don't you focus on things that actually fucking matter?
Yeah. What is the percentage of parents actually taking their kids to drag performances?
Exactly.
I assume it's not that many places.
And I would argue,
if you go to you might take your kid like one time a year. Like
exactly.
You're not taking them like weekly to a drag show. Like maybe some people are.
Yeah.
But like, come on now, guys.
And I would argue that the people taking their kids to drag shows are like, do not want obviously this bill to be passed. And like all the people that are so adamant about this bill, one, have probably never been to a drag show.
Yeah.
And two, have never taken their fucking kids to a drag show. And they have that right as well. Like if you don't want to take your children to these things, fucking don't do it.
Know. Freedom, guys.
Exactly.
Freedom.
Freedom only some ways, Rose.
Yeah.
when it benefits the majority, not the majority, when it benefits their narrative, that's when it matters.
Yes.
And to that point, so part of this comment and things that we're, you know, talking about and stuff, I brought up the compassion part and I was like, you know, kids that are exposed to the more things, I feel like, and I could almost like guarantee you guys, we could search and we could find some studies on it because I feel like it would be proven. But this person was like, oh, well, you know, the Bible says it's an abomination and all this stuff. I teach my kids like caring and everything else. And honestly, guys, like, again, I'm very respectful of like, if you want to believe in whatever you want to believe in, your religion and stuff. Where it really pisses me off is when, and this happens too often, where the Bible, people take 1 or 2 verses out of there and they prescribe it, right? They're like, oh, homosexuality is an abomination. Drag queens would be considered an abomination.
I don't even know if that's actually even in the Bible.
Probably not. Well,
Probably
no,
not.
They're like, man shall not lie with another man, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but drag show's different.
No, I know. But technically that lifestyle.
Right. It's
Right?
it's the homosexual lifestyle, Daniel.
But I could be like off on left field, but I don't remember the exact like verses in the Bible and stuff. But I know.
Really? You don't remember the verses from the Bible? Daniel, thought you had it memorized.
I should. There is verses in there about fucking slavery.
How you can't eat seafood or some shit.
There's verses of like, if you cheat on your partner,
Yeah.
you should be stoned to death.
Yeah.
Like there's so many verses on there that nobody takes seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and honestly, guys, throwing a little bit of shade.
Do it, Daniel.
But let me tell you, if we want to talk about harming children, okay, if you want to see the studies or see the news articles, where have more children been harmed, guys? I'm going to throw this out to the audience, guys. And I know most of our audience is like kind of relatively on our side, I feel like, on this type of issue. And again, if you're not, there's props to you. But where is there evidence, or where have more children been harmed? In the church or at a drag show?
Exactly.
And I'll leave it there. So
mic drop.
And speaking of gun legislation,
Oh God.
we need to talk about Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart, you're obsessed.
I'm obsessed, guys.
Ever since I showed Daniel the Jon Stewart interview, Daniel's been obsessed.
Guys, the reason I want to
It's so good.
It's so good. And I wanted, like, we don't have to deep dive. Maybe we'll just spend like 5 minutes talking about it. 'Cause we already talked about it last episode, but I actually watched it after Rose recommended it. And guys, if you haven't seen it,
Just
check
search,
it out.
Yeah, Jon Stewart and like
Nathan,
gun or
Nathan
something.
Dam, I think his
Okay,
name
I
is.
don't know
He's like
his
a
name.
Republican.
My God, is he ever insufferable?
Oh my God.
Maybe.
So the reason I wanted to bring it up though is because the way that he constructs his argument is just so beautiful. And there's so many points that he brings up, because he even says to him, he's like, because this Republican is really about guns, and he's like, more guns makes America safer. That's his whole thing.
That's every Republican's whole thing.
And I don't get it. Like, I just, you know, when you say something and you don't see results, right? Ever.
Yeah.
So Jon Stewart correctly says, he's like, okay, so at what point do we hit the curve?
Yeah.
You know, he's like, keep adding more guns to America.
Right. It's obviously
It's going
still
up.
Yeah.
When does it start getting safer?
Yeah.
Like at what point do we hit a point where a certain threshold of amount of guns actually brings safety? And obviously there's not, because more guns, it's logical that it's going to create more problems.
Yes.
And then he also put some good points where he was like, well, why is it that when a police officer goes to somebody's home, they don't feel really safe because they're practicing their constitutional right to bear arms?
Yeah.
Like,
so when they go to someone's home and they know that there are guns there, should you not feel safer versus not safe?
Yeah.
Because technically more guns, more good guys with guns is a good thing.
Yeah.
So, but it's always considered more dangerous. And would you be honest? Of course, most of our audience probably, agrees with us.
Yeah.
But if you went to a party and you knew there were guns, would you feel safer or
No.
not safer? I would fucking leave,
I
bitch.
would leave. I would feel, because that's never happened, right? And I remember one of my friend's parents actually had a shotgun.
Right.
Because they're a hunter. They hunt it. You can get a license here in Canada, but it's hard to get guns. Like, it's not as easy. And they had a license because they went hunting or whatever. Yeah. And I remember my friend saying that there was a shotgun in the house.
Oh my God.
And then he took it out of his dad's closet to show me, and I was like, fuck this, I'm leaving. This is scary as fuck.
It's scary. You can accidentally kill people.
I think people dying from guns is actually more accidental than people because other things.
Anyway, it's just ridiculous.
It's stupid. And then this is where the argument gets so good, because he's like,
the license. Oh. That's my favorite.
Well, I like it because he asked him.
He sets it up so good.
He does. He's like, so a police officer.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh, he did. He was smart, and the guy just fed into it. He fed into all the points. It's like he was playing him like a violin.
You can't. That's the thing. You just have to ask these questions, and they're going to contradict themselves.
Exactly. So he goes, well, so again, going back to the police officer, why doesn't he feel safe knowing the house is full of guns? And then he goes, you said that guns make things safer. And then he goes, well, no, because it's not the gun, it's the person, right? The person. And then he said, okay, but you guys have taken away our ability to distinguish
Right.
who's a good and bad person
Yeah.
because you don't have to register. You don't have to do any of these things. And he's like, yeah, but registering is against our, constitutional right to bear arms.
Goddamn fucking Constitution.
That shall not be infringed, apparently. So anyway, and then he goes, okay, so, and this is so good. So, voting's a right?
yeah.
And he goes, yep, voting, it's a right. You have a right to vote.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what do you have to do to vote?
And then he like skirts around.
He skirts around it so hard, guys.
Oh God.
And
like
then,
you almost felt bad for the guy. I'm
I
like,
know.
oh.
Like if I was mopped, if someone mopped me on the floor that hard, I would go into hiding.
And then John's like eventually, like this guy's literally trying his hardest not to say the word register.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you have to do. In order to vote, you have to register to vote.
Yeah.
Even though it is a right.
Yeah.
Just like every other thing that you have to do where, for example, driving.
You have to register.
You have to have a license
Yeah.
to drive. You have to register your vehicle.
Yep.
Literally everything else that is especially dangerous.
Yeah.
You have to register, have a license. So then he literally just couldn't say the word.
Yeah.
Even though he knew that's the word he was looking for.
Yeah.
And at the very end, Jon Stewart's like, you have to register.
Yeah. And then he goes, yeah, but does the right to register or right to vote, it doesn't say in the amendment, thou shall not be infringed. And he's like, oh, so this is like a semantic argument.
Oh God.
I was just like, this is crazy. And then it was funny because then he pivoted again, referring back to the drag shows. And he goes, obviously you guys are, against drag shows. You're saying, and then he's like, yeah, we want to protect children, blah, 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 blah. And then John says, do you know what the leading cause is for death in children? And then
he says, I assume you're going to say firearms.
yeah. And then he's
John's
like, it's not an assumption.
Yeah.
It's fact.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, you're making...
That's so sad to me.
It's crazy that, to me,
That's
like...
the number one cause.
Like, again, guys...
For kids.
I'm going to be transparent to you guys right now. Fully transparent. Sorry, I keep...
As if we haven't been transparent.
Well, I know
this
we
whole
are.
time.
We are being transparent. No, but honestly, if for example, there was statistics, and in the U.S., for whatever reason, God forbid, the leading cause of death or harm to children was drag shows... then I would understand.
Yes.
And I would be like, you know what? I'm still going to go to drag shows because I have a great time. But for some reason, kids keep dying at drag shows. So I understand why, right? Like that makes sense to me. Or if I was like really, again, even though I'm a supporter of drag shows, if I knew there was statistics and things to back up to say, hey, you know what? Actually, this is harmful to children. Then I would appreciate that. I'd say, okay, fair enough. I don't know how, again, this is what shocks me about it.
Yeah.
It's not just America. It's a lot of countries where you have politicians in place where they're like, we want to protect children, for example, or we want to protect whatever. And yet they're not tackling the number one cause of harm to children. Like,
I know.
It baffles my mind how, like, you can't get more logical than that.
I know.
Or illogical. I don't know what the word is,
Non-logical.
Like, non-logical. It's like, it's
They
literally
just
like
don't
talking
care
to a brick
about the
wall.
kids.
They don't.
They care more about getting money from the NRA.
It's crazy to me.
And making it like keeping it that way because politicians are bought by organizations like the NRA, and now they've made it an institution. They've made it this whole thing. Now it's part of the culture. It's so ingrained. So I understand it's going to be very tough to change anything.
But do you think that these politicians, like the guy that was on the show with Jon Stewart, do you think he realizes how hypocritical they're being? Like,
I think so.
Like because, deep down, like because
I mean, look at him. He wasn't even. Not at one point did he sound like he was even convinced of his own argument. He was just spewing out the same talking points as before. And when you're like faced with those like hard facts, it's like, you know that you're bullshitting. Like I think most of these, especially on the gun issue, I think most of these people are bullshitting. Especially when you're like against like, I can understand if like, because it's so part of American culture, if you like want to keep guns, but you want to make sure if you have a license and you have to register and just go through like basic assessments.
It fucking baffles my mind.
And but like, so if the fact that they're against that tells me that they just care about money.
Yeah.
Because like that makes no sense.
And that's exactly it, because probably the NRA doesn't want people to have to register because that will
decrease.
limit exactly. Because the bad people, because he said the guy, the Republican on the interview did say it's not guns that kill people, and someone's commented on our podcast once about this.
It's the people that
it's people that kill people. Okay, if that's the truth, which it is, because a person has to shoot the gun, that's the case. make people have to register to prevent or to curtail amount. Of course, and people say criminals will get guns. Yeah, they will, but it's going to be harder, right? Like
literally look at any other country but the U.S. and it's literally the opposite of what the U.S. is doing. Okay,
it's so fucking crazy. And the crazy thing to me is like you have so many examples of countries that increased gun legislation that did all these things, and shocker, the gun violence went down. Like it's like there's no refuting
it's a mental health crisis, Daniel.
Oh my God.
Do you think other countries don't have mental health problems? You think America is the only country that's like
suffering from mental health?
There are countries outside of the United States. Let's please, I don't understand how people don't know this. Other countries also have mental health problems. Yeah. There are some countries with even more severe mental health problems, and they don't have, the number one cause of death being fucking guns.
People be crazy.
People
really
be
they
fucking
are.
crazy.
Like even
I know we keep going on about this, but it's so insane to me.
But it's just like it's one of those things where it just like irks me so much. Like I just want to when you just want to shake somebody and like wake the fuck up. Like,
but it's more. I think it's more disturbing to me because I feel like they know. But they
don't give a shit.
They don't care. And I think that scares me more because it's like, you should know that it's like, because if you're a good guy, it really shouldn't impede your right to have a gun, right? Like if you just have to go through a few steps to get a gun, I mean, look at how many people drive. Okay. You think it's going to stop people from driving if all they have to do is get a license? People are going to, if you're a good person, you should be fine with this law. But they want everyone to have guns without any checks and any balances, which is why we keep seeing time and time again the same issue with these people that have all kinds of mental health problems, all kinds of red flags, having multiple guns, and then they shoot up a fucking school. And then you wonder why. Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, you know what will make this safer? More guns.
Oh, God.
Anyway,
guys, I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
Let's move on, guys. I wanted to touch on those two things. Because
what other late stage capitalist hellhole story do we have?
Oh, another one. Another great one, guys. No, I just wanted to talk about this one because it's quite new. I guess this has been passed quite recently.
Oh, has it been passed?
Yeah, because I know that, for example, telephone companies and stuff have started doing this now. So TELUS did this. Yeah.
Right.
So basically what we're talking about, guys, and this is in Canada for those of you that are from outside of Canada, joys to the Canadian market and what they're doing. So up until now, typically when you buy something with your credit card, right?
At a grocery store or anywhere.
At a grocery store, cafe, whatever, you pay your bill.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, part of the reason, like at least why I use credit card, I'm sure you and a lot of other people, is because you do get points, right? So you get like a point system and like you can, get a free trip and do all kinds of things with your points. And as long as you're paying off your credit card, it doesn't really cost you that much, except maybe the annual fee, whatever. Anyway. So this fee, but credit card companies also charge businesses, right? Like they charge them a credit card processing fee. Banks also charge a processing fee for debit as well, I heard.
Yeah, the fees are crazy.
Yeah, so they're also impacting merchants as well. But this isn't new. Like this has been going on for years.
Yeah, so
right?
usually the companies have to pay the fee.
Yeah.
Continue.
So a couple things. So now they're saying that companies will actually have the choice to pass these on to their consumers if they want. They have the option to.
God damn.
Now, I have a couple mind thoughts about this.
It says up to 2.4% for certain credit card transactions. Mm-hmm. Continue.
So, I mean, to be honest, personally, I'll tell you like my own like situation in a minute. Uh-huh. But personally, I'm like, I know that the fees might be really high. I don't know what they are because I'm not a business owner, right? Yeah. So there could be some high processing fees and stuff. But like, from my understanding is that businesses have already kind of baked that into the price a little bit. Yeah. The processing fee, right? Like their prices have kind of incorporated that. Now it says here that a lot of companies or a collection of merchants were trying to sue Visa, MasterCard, a couple of the banks.
For all the fees?
For how expensive. They're saying these fees are getting prohibitively expensive.
Yeah, it is very expensive.
So instead of the Canadian government being
trying to decrease the fees.
Decrease the fees with the credit card companies. They're like, you know what? All of these consumers, we've been hit with so much inflation. Yeah. Everything's going up. Just pass it on to the consumers. Yeah. So now people are saying, well, hang on a second. A lot of these merchants have already put the cost of credit card transactions, baked it into their prices. Sure. Now, if we have to pay an extra fee for the credit card, that's like double dipping. Yeah. Like essentially, we're going to be paying extra for stuff that's already been baked into the price. Right. And then also, like, my question is, well, at least from my perspective, is like, I'm just not going to use my credit card anymore.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because like because the thing is, people, first of all, it's fucked. Okay. The whole thing is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree as a business owner myself that the credit card fees are atrocious, and especially Amex. This is why we don't really allow Amex, because Amex they take even more.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how much, but the Amex fees are insane.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's why some businesses, they only do cash.
Yeah.
Right. Which, I mean, it's insane to do that nowadays, but
yeah, but maybe more businesses will switch to that with these new things coming up and how expensive credit cards are getting.
That's the thing. It's like, and the problem is, again, it's the banks. Mm-hmm. The banks should not be charging this much.
Exactly.
Okay? They are literally just robbing everybody.
I know.
And so that's the thing. It's like the government should not put this on the consumer, because now not only, because Canada's fucked, right? We have to pay a goods and services tax on top of whatever. Every other fucking country outside of North America has their tax embedded in the price. So you know exactly what you're paying when you are getting something. You get a bottle of water, $3. That's what you pay.
Yeah.
Here you got GST, which is goods and services tax. And I mean, we're lucky because we're in Alberta and we only have 5% GST. You go anywhere outside of Alberta, the taxes can go up to like 13, 15% total.
It's crazy.
On top of what is advertised.
Yeah.
Okay. So that on top of, let's say you're buying something, I don't know, let's say you go out, eat at a restaurant.
Yeah.
$100. You are getting taxed, let's say 13%. You're paying $13 extra on top of your $100, and then you're getting taxed, and then you have to pay a tip, which now is expected to be $20 minimum, apparently.
Minimum, yeah.
And that's going to be on $113 tip. And now what? We're going to pay a 2.4% credit card transaction?
Yep.
People are going to stop eating out. They're going to stop doing anything. This is killing
the biggest
consumer spending.
Well, and I saw a bunch of like... It's crazy. Like I'm shocked because I'm like, okay, the solution to the Visa, MasterCard, and the collection of banks having such high fees is pass the fees on to consumers.
Yeah.
Like I don't see the logic here. Like I'm like, why don't they put a little bit of pressure on them to say, hey, you know what, guys?
Do you
have
really
to lower
need to
your
charge?
fees.
Exactly. Do you really need to charge 2.4% on credit card transactions?
No.
When you are literally just rolling in the dough?
Because like, think about
literally your only job is buying and selling money?
Exactly. Think about it like as me as a consumer, right? Like I have an annual fee that I pay my credit card.
Yes.
Right. So I have an annual fee that I already pay. Now I don't pay any interest because I pay my credit card off all the time, but like there's people that will collect interest, right? And so
it is a lot.
It's a lot. It's like 20% or something ridiculous if you carry a balance. So my thing is I use my credit card literally for everything because you get good points. But if it's going to change to where, and I've already done this already because I use TELUS for my internet provider, and they basically said if you are using credit, you have to pay an extra, I think it's like 2% or something on your bill. So I was like, fuck that. Change my direct to be direct debit because to me it makes no difference if I'm paying cash or credit. The reason I pay credit is for the points.
Yes.
So if they're going to take away the incentive, because the points that you get on a credit card actually probably isn't 2.4%.
Exactly. That's the thing.
It's like maybe 1% that you're going to get. So if you're going to negate the points that people are getting from using their credit card, like especially people like us that there's other people that use credit cards because they can't afford things and they're in debt and stuff. So that's a little bit of a different story. And I feel bad for those people.
That's even worse.
Yeah. So they're going to get charged more now. It's almost like you're harming people that are already in financially
people
bad
are
positions.
already in financial ruin.
I know. It's just like this.
And again, I get it. Some businesses, it's tough.
Exactly.
But fucking, who is the middleman? The bank.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not focusing on the bank? Oh,
it's because again, like they're
this fucking pisses me off.
Exactly. And like the thing is, wait.
In response to the lawsuit, Visa and MasterCard agree to let Canadian business owners pass the fee along to their customers. Because, of course, they're not going to lower the fee.
But listen to this. Due to consumer protection laws, businesses in Quebec can't charge their customers the fee.
Fucking hell. We got to move to Quebec.
I know.
See, Quebec does a very good job at actually protecting we can complain about Quebecers all we want, okay?
Yeah.
But I think the Quebec government, one thing they do is they do a very good job at protecting their citizens. There's a little bit more of a focus on consumer protection.
Yeah. I like on this article though they said, and And this will never fucking happen. But it says it's possible that merchants who elect to charge processing fees will lower sticker prices they'd previously inflated to account for the cost of accepting credit cards.
No, why would you do that? Well, no, that's so stupid because if I was gonna opt for charging the customer fee, no, like I know that's stupid. Because like if I was gonna do that, why would I lower my price? I might as well just keep everything the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, no, if you're passing the fee on to the consumer. So instead of you
so
paying
then it's
$2,
still
they're
incentivizing
paying $2.
I know. Okay,
Yeah,
I get it.
so
So
then
it's still incentivizing them to pay cash.
Exactly. So either way, it's just so fucking stupid.
Well, it's fucking insane because we've created this world. Again, they force you to use a credit card, right? Because we talked about this before where you have to build credit. Oh my God, you gotta build credit. You gotta make sure that you can pay off the credit card. Me. You have to build a fucking credit.
Yeah.
So you have to use a credit card to build credit. Me.
Build credit.
It's so fucking stupid. So because you can pay off your credit card, that's how you prove that you're building credit.
Yeah.
Even if you've never missed a bill in your life, you've never, had any debt in your life, it doesn't matter. You have to have a fucking credit card and use it. So you need to use the credit card.
Yep.
So now that you're going to be forced to pay on top of the annual fee of the credit card and whatever interest that you may pay because you might be a few days late on your payments or maybe months. Now you got to pay the extra 2%.
Yeah.
No.
It's crazy. Well, I'm telling you right now. So like,
if a business starts doing that, I'm just not going to use my credit card.
I'm just not. I'm honestly not. I'm going to. So there's other options. Like there's like Well Simple, for example, the prepaid card.
Yeah.
That doesn't charge
Right.
you. Well, it does. I'm sure there's still a merchant charge and stuff, but it's not considered a credit card.
Right.
So like, for example, I set that up to pay my TELUS.
Right.
Because I just put cash on it, right? So it is technically
it's
like
basically
cash.
like a cash card.
Exactly. Yeah. And you get points on that, like a little bit of cash back and stuff. Yeah. But you don't, it's not considered.
God, that's really annoying.
I know. So like, honestly, if that's the case.
I'm so annoyed.
I am going to stop. Businesses that do this, I will not pay credit there because actually for me, like again, I have no preference if I want to use my credit card or debit card. Yeah. I can just pay for whatever, or not whatever, but I'll just pay for whatever I need with whatever, right? But the sole reason I use my fucking credit card
is to get points.
Is to get the points.
Me too. Literally, that's it.
Exactly. And you get like good points, but the points are not worth 2.4%.
Yeah.
The points are maybe like
I don't even know what they're worth, but it's definitely not 2.4%.
Probably like 1, maybe 1.5%.
I mean, if you have a really good credit card, then you might have some points, but then you have to there's all these, things that you have to do, right? You have to either spend a certain amount or you have to if you get like a travel one, you have to like do like a round trip flight somewhere and like spend this much and then you get the fucking benefits.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, like sure, it's nice to get like points and things and I appreciate my points. Yeah. But 100% like it's not worth all of the extra costs.
You know what's funny though? I don't know how many people are like us that just do it for the points.
Yeah. But a lot of people.
I think a lot of people. Most people I speak to when I talk to them about using credit cards is because of the points.
It's either points or to build credit.
Yeah.
That's it.
So essentially, honestly, I think that this is really stupid. And actually the credit card companies are also stupid for doing this because
less people use it.
Exactly. At the end of the day, people are just not going to be using their credit cards. Like, I could almost, I bet you that.
Because like what you walk into a store, right?
Yeah.
And they say 2.5% transactional fee. No one is using their fucking credit card if they can help it. Trust me. I would not pay, even if I was paying like a $3 thing. Fuck that.
Nope, I will not. I refuse.
Yeah.
I literally fucking refuse. Sorry, guys. But like.
Why would I? Why would I? If I have a debit card.
Exactly.
The only reason I would is if I had no other form of
payment.
Exactly.
That's it. Like if you forgot your debit card and you had only your credit card with you.
What is wrong with Canadian banks? It's fucked. We're also the country where, for example, in the UK, if you take out money at an ATM, you can take out money from any bank ATM. Yeah. And you do not get charged any ATM fees. Yeah. Okay? You do that in Canada. If you don't go to your own bank, you will 100% be charged.
I think it's like $3 or something.
Something ridiculous.
Sometimes you get double charged. You get charged at the bank you use and your bank.
It's fucked. It's actually fucked. So Canadian banks are really fucking taking the piss because apparently the government's letting them.
I talked about this in another episode of the podcast, but I think it's really relevant just specifically for this type of stuff. And it was they were talking about I think it was another TikTok that I watched a while ago. Yeah. And they mentioned about how the power of that cash is king. So for example, like if I go to Rose's Cafe and I buy something that's exactly $20, I give you $20, you have $20. Yeah. You go buy something else with that $20. And you could pass it on to a certain number of merchants.
Yeah.
It's always $20.
Yeah.
However, on the flip side, if I get something worth $20 at your cafe, I pay with my credit card. Yeah. You get a bit less because the transaction. So maybe you only get $18. Then you take that $18 and you use your credit card
Yeah.
at another place. Eats away. It eats away money.
Yep.
So the next thing you know, go down 7, 8 merchants.
Yep.
That $20 turns into like 3 because
Yeah.
of all the bank fees and
Yeah.
everything else.
And it's all going to the bank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the credit card companies. Like, it is actually crazy. And to me, like, if I was in parliament or legislation or whatever, I would say, okay, we're getting a lot of these lawsuits against Visa and MasterCard. Maybe we should revisit the fees they're charging the merchants.
Yeah.
And perhaps we need to start figuring out like what's a reasonable amount that they
Yes.
should be charging. Not, okay, we'll give you guys the right to pass it on to consumers.
Banks are so the worst. Not only so if you're a business owner, so
That's crazy.
not only do you have to pay, for example, like depending on the business account you have, you also have a certain number of transactions. You can have like an unlimited transaction bank account, but of course that one has the high annual fee.
So
and in
expensive.
order to negate the high annual fee, you have to have a certain amount of money in that bank account,
fucking hate it.
which you can't really have in like a savings account, which of course then you're going to lose money on interest. So there's no win-win situation. So ours, we do have it in an unlimited account because otherwise you have a certain number of transactions and then you get dinged extra transactional fees on top of the credit card fees that you're paying. So the fees are insane. Like if you actually, it is insane. So I'm not at all saying like it's not insane. It is insane. But to transfer that to the consumer is also insane.
Yeah. It should be revisited and say, you know what? Actually, Visa, MasterCard, these companies, you're only allowed to charge X to merchants.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess it is like it's up to the business owner if they want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because most people nowadays use their credit card.
Exactly.
Okay.
And honestly, you're right. Like if I went to any store right now and they said a certain form of payment, if I was going to plan to pay in cash, but for whatever reason, they're like, oh, if you pay by cash, it's an extra 3% or 2%.
You would pay a different form.
I would pay a different form.
Right.
Nobody is going to fucking pay it.
It is a deterrent, I guess, for people to use the credit card.
Yeah.
So like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, what if the only thing you brought was the credit card? Like, it's just annoying. It
It's
would
so
be
stupid.
like, I think from a consumer's perspective, it would be like from a business perspective, I guess I kind of get it. It's like you're deterring somebody from using the credit card because you assume that they have different forms of payment, right? So if you already have if you already have that set, like, 2.5% extra for credit card fee, and the person on the receiving end only has a credit card, that's annoying.
Yeah.
And I would be annoyed as a consumer that I'm getting charged extra because I only have my credit card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to do it because it's like, it doesn't look good for your business.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, it doesn't look good to do that, in my opinion. I think it's better to it's almost better to just increase your prices if you don't want, you know what I mean?
Increase them a little bit.
Exactly.
And that's what the argument is with a lot of people are, because I was going through TikTok. That's how I found out about
People
this.
are pissed.
People are angry. They're like, this is already baked in the price. Like, why am I now paying more?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy to me.
God, like the extras are insane nowadays.
I'd like to poll our audience, guys. So for those of you in other countries, in the US and Germany and UK and all over the world that are listening to this podcast, if your country decided to charge, I don't know, some kind of fee for using credit cards, would you use an alternative form of payment?
1,000%.
I know I would.
Fuck that, man.
Because like, and this
2.5%. That's a lot.
Especially now, right now. This is like the worst time to be increasing prices because
for
it's
the
like
consumers.
Exactly. We're already getting so fucked with inflation.
Yeah.
It's actually scary. Like,
yeah.
It's just getting scarier and scarier. And like with this kind of shit, I'm just like,
people cannot afford shit. And
no.
It's insane. And what about people that again, that are living paycheck to paycheck that may rely on the credit card and they have to use the credit card. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to be hit with the fee.
Now they're going to be hit with this fee. They're going to be hit with the 25% interest.
Oh, God.
Which also
is a fucking scam.
Which I'm like, how is that allowed? How can they charge that much?
I know. That is like, it's all fucked. Like the bank system is a scam.
Like I forgot to pay my bill once.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And I got an interest charge. I was like, and I got so mad at myself. I was like, fuck, I forgot to pay it.
I know. I'm sure I've done it a few times too.
And it's so high.
It's so high. It's ridiculous.
Oh, and I'm like, well, I wish I got that in my savings account.
I know.
You know?
I know.
Doesn't work the other way.
It's so fucking dumb. It's so dumb. And then like all these minimum, you know how like again, in order to avoid the fees, you have to keep like a certain minimum amount. And even if it goes down but for like a day, they'll charge you that fucking fee.
Yeah.
So I've had to like call them a few times being like, fuck you, don't charge me.
Yeah.
It's been like a day. Fuck off.
Yeah.
God, these banks are scams.
Yep. I agree. I hate it.
Anyway, moving on.
Speaking of banks.
Oh God. What's next?
So this is a big story, guys, right now.
Really? What be going on?
It's kind of complicated. Like I don't fully understand
Okay.
why this bank is failing or failed.
What bank is failing?
So Silicon Valley Bank, SVB Bank, apparently 16th largest bank in the US.
God damn, they got a lot of banks.
Exactly. The US has shitloads. Like literally, I
you
think
got a
like,
shitload of people.
they've got like,
How many banks do they have, Daniel?
I have no idea, but a lot.
So 16 largest. So clearly there's a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, there's like honestly, like I feel like each
Like
state
there's little ones.
There's little ones. I think each state has its own
Right.
bank. Like right there, there's 50
Right.
states or 54 states. I don't know.
God damn.
Yeah, there's a lot. So of course,
50 states, Daniel.
God damn, there'd be bigger ones, there'd be smaller ones. But anyway, what had happened, or essentially kind of what had happened, is this particular bank, I guess they said it's like a tale as old as time, where basically they had a run on the bank. Which basically what that means is like typically banks don't like, if everybody went to the bank today to try to take out their money, the bank doesn't have enough money there.
Yes.
So like, first of all, that's kind of a fucked up system anyway. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit
Because they're
weird.
making money out of nothing. That's why.
Exactly. So like literally, guys, if every single one of us went to our bank to take out our money, the
You
bank
don't.
would be
You can't.
fucked. Like they couldn't do
There
it.
is
So
no money.
so the way the system works is like people trust the banks, right?
Yes.
So they're entrusted that, hey, you know what? And some of the deposits are secured up to a certain amount. Like
Sure.
And that's usually backed by like, I don't know, the government or something.
Right.
Or like maybe the banks have to pay. I don't exactly know the full thing. But yeah, so this bank, Silicon Valley Bank collapse, marks the second biggest bank failure in U.S. history.
Oh, so they fully collapsed.
And I heard a rumor
So
that
what happens to people and their money?
well, some of it is backed. So it says right here, because Silicon Bank customers were largely businesses and the wealthy, they were likely more fearful of bank failure since their deposits were over $250,000 US, which is the US government imposed limit on deposit insurance. So I think up to $250,000,
Okay.
you can insure it. Like it's
Okay.
insured through the bank, so you'll guaranteed to get that back. Anything over and above that,
Right.
you might not get it back.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Okay, wait. It says Silicon Valley customers were largely startups and other tech-centric companies
Yeah.
that started needing cash more over the past year. So
Yeah.
this is a tech issue.
Yeah.
Venture capital funding was drying up. Companies were not able to get additional rounds of funding for unprofitable businesses and therefore had to tap into their existing funds, often deposited with Silicon Valley Bank, which
Yeah.
obviously they were obviously targeting tech companies, which makes sense. Silicon Valley Bank, the name.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were the center of the tech startup universe. So, okay, so it's kind of making sense because tech is kind of crumbling right now. I don't know what the fuck's going on with tech,
Yeah.
but basically it's crumbling.
Yeah.
A lot of people are starting to withdraw their deposits a lot more than normal.
Yeah.
And it says initially it wasn't an issue, but the withdrawals started requiring the bank to start selling its own assets
Yep.
to meet customer withdrawal requests.
And this is where the problem exacerbated.
Right.
Because a lot of the bank's assets, what this bank had done, it says at the top here, the bank had bought billions of dollars worth of government bonds or bonds the past couple of years using the customer's deposits. And this is very typical, right? So the bank invests in these assets.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, these investments are typically safe but the value of the bonds fell because they paid lower interest rates because of everything that's been going on with the interest and all this kind of stuff. And so so this bank is forced to sell assets because consumers or their customers are drawing out money. So the bank's like, shit, I'll sell a few of my bonds over here and I'll pay Rose her $100,000 that she has, right? But the issue was all of these bonds were worth less than what they paid for them.
Right.
So now they're starting to sell all these assets off at a loss.
Right. And also bonds are supposed to be long term.
Exactly.
So,
well, that's it.
Yeah. It says banks hold on to those for a long time unless they have to sell them in an emergency.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be something that's beneficial if you hold it for a long time.
So,
but not beneficial in the short term.
Exactly. But I think honestly, like we say, oh, the tech thing, blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, I think, again, you're saying, okay, well, the issue here partly is like, why is the bank's, I mean, I'm sure it had other assets, but why is it relying so heavily on bonds, first of all?
Right.
Because you're always saying that you should diversify and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I feel like the banking industry still is going on and doing a lot of weird things that aren't regulated. Like the fact that this run on the bank and the fact that they were invested in all these bonds, like there should be checks and balances that don't allow these kind of things to happen.
Right. So yeah, so basically now they became effectively insolvent and it was brought down by the oldest issue in banking, a run on the bank.
Yeah. Which is
So what happens to all the money? That's the question. I think it's protected by some kind of law. Like right? There is some kind of level of protection. If
There
you're
is.
a bank.
No, there is. And there is insurance, right? Like the
Right.
deposits are insured up to $250,000.
Right.
So like if you
but
had,
after that, are you fucked?
I think pretty much
Oh
like,
my God.
but I think but I think it depends. Like it says here, right? Bank regulators have to seize their assets to protect the assets and deposits remaining at the bank. The most immediate problem is Silicon Valley's large deposits. The U.S. government insures deposits up to $250,000, but anything above that level is considered uninsured.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
And it says the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation said insured deposits would be available on Monday morning. However, the vast majority of Silicon Valley Bank's deposits were uninsured, a unique characteristic of this bank due to its customers being largely startups and wealthy tech workers. So basically these rich people are going to lose a lot of money. Essentially.
And it says at the moment, all the money can't be accessed and likely will have to be released in an orderly process. So what's gonna happen is, and I feel like this is like, it's almost like when you file for bankruptcy. I feel like because typically what happens is they'll have, okay, we have this list of creditors, we have this much assets, and then you get somebody that like manages it and like divvies
you get, like,
it up.
a lawyer and like
exactly. So what would happen is like if we were all invested or not invested, had deposits, we would get up to our $250,000 because that's insured, so we get that back. Anything over and above that,
God damn,
they would have to like divvy out in a fair process, however they do it. So
I need to know how many banks there are in the U.S. because I want to know what 16th largest bank. Let's see. Wait a second. Can you guess how many there are?
If I had to guess, okay, I'm gonna guess there's 125.
Am I reading this right? You're very cold. Very cold.
Like 500.
There are 4,236 FDIC insured commercial banking institutions in the U.S. as of 2021.
Yeah, hey, it doesn't surprise me.
Over 4,000 banks?
It's insane. They also
what's
have
the moral of the story, Daniel? Does this mean we need to diversify where we keep our money?
potentially.
That's the thing, because maybe I'm sure each bank has a certain level of insurance.
They do.
No?
So this is actually a really brings me to my point. When
not that we all have $250,000.
Yeah, some of us aren't as rich as you, Rose.
Oh goddamn! I do not have. Guys, before you try to rob me, trust me, I do not have $250,000
US. Mm-hmm. But no, in the UK, a lot of countries are similar. I can't remember what it is in Canada, but I remember in the UK, I think you're insured up to, I want to say £85,000.
Sure.
But you're right. It's spread out over institutions, right? So if you were wealthy.
But I mean, most likely you're not going to have a collapse of all institutions.
Exactly. But that's why you could spread it out.
That's why you need to spread it out. Probably. If you have a large amount of assets.
Yeah. If you have a lot of money on deposit, you should probably get up to that deposit protection and then plan it with other banks.
Yeah. God damn.
But you have to be careful because in the UK, and I think the rule is the same here, if the banks are like owned by each other, like, so for example here, Scotiabank and Tangerine are the same bank.
Right.
So if you had deposits in Tangerine and Scotia, I think, and don't quote me on this, I think that the insurance is just for like the one institution.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to be mindful of this. Like you have to I haven't done enough research into it and stuff, but I do remember in the UK, this was a big thing. Like if the bank is part of like let's say Lloyd's had like a different kind of like bespoke bank over here, it would be part of the Lloyd's like umbrella.
Right.
So
interesting.
Yeah. I think it's just interesting. It's funny because people are freaking out. Like they're like, wow, this bank has just collapsed. Like
that's a big deal. Because if that's a big bank then. If there's over 4,000 banking institutions.
Yeah.
Number 16 is pretty high up.
That's high up there.
That's very fucking high up.
Yeah. But it says
that's a bit scary.
Yeah, and it says that this is going to have knock-on effects, though, which it will. It says, however, there might be economic ripple effects, especially in the Bay Area and San Francisco.
Oh God, they don't need another crisis.
I know, because the tech industry is already suffering.
Yeah.
Now this bank that is typically works with all of these tech companies has collapsed.
Right.
Meaning that a lot of these places their deposits are only insured for up to 250.
Yeah.
So it's like
now they're gonna lose all the.
What if they can't pay their staff?
Yeah.
What if they can't do all this other stuff? Like it's gonna have these knock-on effects.
Yeah, because 250,000 is not
a
enough.
lot. Not in a commercial
not
business.
in a company.
No, like
That's not a lot at all. Not for a company. And these tech companies are huge,
yeah,
right?
some of them, and they pay their staff a lot.
I mean, maybe it was a mistake to have maybe it is a mistake to have a bank that focuses on one industry.
I think that's part of it.
That's part of it.
But
Because,
I think another mistake.
You're probably right. They probably did a lot of shady things.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows?
Like why were they so heavily invested in bonds?
Yeah.
Like why, what about their other assets? Why were they restricted to only sell the bonds?
Right.
That devalued. Like they had no other assets. They had nothing else. Like that's where I'm like,
damn, Daniels.
I don't know. God damn, it'd be scary as all hell.
Anyway,
Tarnation.
Few lessons, guys. Spread out your monies. If you be rich as hell, spread it out. Second lesson. Don't put your money in a bank that focuses on one industry.
Yeah.
Okay. Because shit be volatile, dude.
It's true. And this is why, like, again, I feel like, people probably thought this about the Silicon Valley Bank. They're probably like, it will never fail.
Yeah. They're like, tech is booming. It's going to boom forever. Yeah. Woo.
But it's like, it's kind of crazy. Like I don't think we've ever experienced a bank failing here, have we?
I'm sure. But maybe not like a huge one.
No, like not a huge one.
But we don't have that many banks. I mean, how many banks are there in Canada? Let's see.
Like 10 maybe?
No, there has to be more. Because there's like small ones, right? Like we're thinking of the small. We have
right, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me
Google.
I'll let you guess.
There's not as many as the US, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Can you imagine 4,000 something fucking banks? Like what the hell?
That is insane to me.
Yeah.
Okay, guess.
15.
Hold on, wait. This is weird. It says, wait, hold on 1 second. List of banks in Canada. 80.
Is that it? That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are more than 80 banks operating in Canada, including 35 domestic banks. I don't know what that means. Oh, I guess 35 domestic banks, and then the rest are like foreign institutions.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm sorry. 80 versus 4,000?
I'm surprised there's 80 though. That seems like a lot.
You be itchy?
Mm-hmm.
Stop scratching.
God damn, my body's falling apart.
80 does sound like a lot, but not after I heard 4,000.
I know.
Because the thing is, like, sure, of course, America's like so much bigger than Canada.
Yeah.
Like we're talking, they have 10 times the population.
Yeah.
But that's not
10 times the amount of banks.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
But then also you have to argue like because they're 10 times their population's 10 times as big as ours, but their economy I think is way more than 10 times.
Also huge. This is true.
So,
and a lot of businesses operate from the US. So a lot of different and also, US is like the birth country of capitalism. So of course they'll have more banks.
Yeah. Even though what's so fucking crazy about this guy is like thinking about again, I'm not
are we going to rant?
We're not ranting, we're not slagging off the US, but I'm just like it's the birthplace of capitalism, all this other stuff, but also like the US has like as a country has an insane level of debt.
Right.
Like one of the worst. I think it's insane. Like per each person, it's like so much money. Like,
but that's how it's made though, isn't it? It's because it's the banking industry, right?
Yeah,
well, are we talking about like country as a country?
Country as a country, like borrowing money from other places,
right?
Like
I don't know how it all
fund
works.
all this stuff. Like it's fucking crazy. But anyway,
but they're also the richest country in the world.
True.
Mm-hmm.
For the time being.
I mean, I think it's still the richest. It's going to be the richest country in the world because there's a few people that hold everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they got all the power.
And they're in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's like I saw this really interesting thing, guys. Just the last point, and then we'll kind of finish up the podcast.
Oh goddamn, we be talking a lot today. Mm-hmm. Continue.
But one thing I saw was really, really interesting. It was like I can't remember if it was like in a marketing class or something in university. And they showed like all of the brands that we would know, like household brands, like Halls
I know what
and
you're gonna say.
Mr. Clean and like all of this stuff. They did this like crazy web, and it was like all of these companies.
Yeah.
It was like I think it went down to like 5.
It's
five own fucking everything.
Yeah, literally, there's like 4 or 5 companies that own basically everything.
It's insane.
It's literally crazy, and it's like the saddest thing ever.
Yeah,
and that's why, especially like in Canada and the US, like, it's the big problem. And again, this is like actually global. You see just chains everywhere.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you go to any city in Canada or US, it kind of all looks the same.
I know. I hate it.
It's really fucking sad.
Yeah.
So that's why like I try like to go into the small businesses because like, they're not going to be bought by the big companies because they're small.
Yeah.
But like you got to support them. Otherwise, we're literally just going to have Walmart, fucking Starbucks, McDonald's. It's all going to be like that. And it's already becoming like that.
I know.
Like, it's really sad. And even like, for example, so when I was in university, I studied abroad in Italy. And one thing I really liked about it is that they actually didn't have Starbucks. This is in 2010.
Yeah.
I don't think they had any. Maybe they had like one.
Maybe
okay?
like Rome.
Yeah,
had,
like
a
I don't even.
Starbucks.
I think they may not have had it at all because like Italians, you know how they are about coffee, right?
Yeah.
Even though in Starbucks they use like venti. Is that even fucking Italian? I don't, grande. I don't know. Like they use these little terms to make it sound, fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Which makes no sense. I'm sorry. Who came up with these fucking sizes?
Yeah.
Tall, grande, venti. It's not even the same language.
I know. I think.
What's venti?
So tall, I think, is in English,
Yeah.
right? Grande is Spanish.
Or it could be Italian too, I
And
guess.
I think venti is Italian.
Venti.
And they all mean large.
Do they?
Yeah.
Hold on. Venti, Starbucks. Meaning. Oh, venti means 20.
Oh.
So maybe it means 20 ounces.
Oh, but
Oh,
then
venti. Right.
So maybe it is in Italian. It's all in Italian then. Is grande then?
Hold on. In Italian, venti means 20. But then that still doesn't make sense because is grande Italian? I think it's, no, is it not? Yeah. Italian. Okay. So grande is Italian for large.
See, I knew that.
Venti means 20.
And what is tall then? Just
Tall's just in fucking English.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, dude? Okay. At least be consistent.
yeah.
Anyway, they didn't have Starbucks. And so like, and they have, and it's really cute. Like they have these little cafe bar things. You just go order an espresso.
An
Okay,
espresso.
A caffè.
And sit in the
Un
plaza.
caffè, per favore. Per favore. And it's like €1, okay? And they give
Yeah.
you like the little espresso shot. They don't do like the tall coffees.
Yeah. And it's so good though.
And it's so good. And I miss it so much. I love it. And then, but then some people were like, I miss like Starbucks. I didn't miss Starbucks, but sometimes I did miss like a tall coffee.
Yeah.
When you can like sip on it for a while.
But you can get like
Anyway,
other,
now
like-
they have Starbucks.
Yeah.
I think they have Starbucks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I know from even the small town that I was in Spain.
Yeah.
So like, to be fair though, I kind of liked, okay, so I was in this small, like it's a, not small city, but like
Yeah.
it was a city. Like I think maybe like 400,000 or 500,000 people live
Yeah.
there. The good thing is though, there was only one Starbucks in the entire city. So like
Yeah.
in a sense that like
it's not as common.
it's not
for
like
sure.
here, because here if it was a city of 500,000, there'd be like 20,000 Starbucks.
Yeah.
But there was one, and most of the local coffee shops, that's where everyone went. Like the Starbucks, like I walked past it, I did go once, but inside
We're
was,
still North Americans at heart.
I know
apparently.
inside the Starbucks, it was mostly like the university students,
Yeah.
or like tourists.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
never,
guys, when you're traveling, try not to go to Starbucks.
yeah.
Okay, maybe once. Okay, but I do not understand people that every morning you gotta find the Starbucks.
Yeah.
You are traveling, people. Try what is local.
Exactly. And like I do this like because on both my backpacking trips,
Mm-hmm.
primarily ate local, did local
Yeah.
things. There was one time when I was
You had McDonald's.
yeah, and me and my friend went to McDonald's because we were like at that point had been backpacking for 4 months.
Yeah.
And we were just like, oh my God. It was like we actually hadn't seen too many McDonald's and we saw this one in this big city.
Yeah.
So we're like, fuck it, let's go get it.
I get that.
Once in a blue
Yeah.
moon. And then we also, when I was in the Philippines, went to Starbucks once there.
Right.
But it was crazy and it was actually really sad. Like Starbucks prices.
It's insane.
It was like,
Yeah.
and you could tell it's for tourists because like, for example, like you mentioned the espresso in Italy.
Yeah.
So an espresso, like €1 or maybe even a cappuccino or whatever.
cappuccino.
It would be like 2, maybe €3. You go to Starbucks and the price is like €7. It's like the same
Yeah.
price as like other
It's
places.
ridiculous.
Like, and in the Philippines, like because the Philippines is quite cheap, the Starbucks was like equivalent to like Canadian prices or something. Like maybe not
Right.
quite.
Yeah, no, they always are.
But I was like, whoa. And
Everywhere,
I
yeah.
was like, this is expensive. Like everything
That's why I
else
don't
we were
get it.
getting is
why
like,
would you go to Starbucks?
yeah.
Okay, so I found out there are 20. There's actually not that many,
Mm.
at least, but there are 20 now in Italy, and they only opened the first one in 2018. So I was right. There were no
Yeah.
Starbucks in Italy.
But how sad is it that they're there now?
I know, like, I just want something pure for once, something where it's like, it's not tainted by capitalism.
I know. But the thing is, I do think like, yeah, there's 20 stores there and they might get a few more
Mm-hmm.
or whatever else. But I just feel like because of the European culture and lifestyle,
Yes.
they're just not going to be as popular. Like all the teachers.
True.
Yeah.
You would think,
Mm,
but there's, as tourism,
yeah.
becomes popular and it becomes some places, maybe Italy because they're a little bit more stubborn,
Yeah.
but like sometimes the tourists make something popular and then the locals think it's cool and it becomes like a status symbol if you go have Starbucks. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
Teach
but
us
I think you're right. Like, for example, in the Philippines, because it's way more expensive than everything else. I'm sure if you're like a more wealthy Filipino,
Exactly.
you might go there to get Starbucks all the time because you're like, it's a
Exactly.
symbol of status.
Yes.
And it's like, but you're right. Like, it's just like, even in like Spain and Italy and all these places, it's like, I just hope that those change. Because that's one thing I love. Even when I was living in Spain,
Yeah.
there isn't as many chains, at least where I was. Maybe in Madrid and Barcelona is
It's
a bit
so
more.
nice.
But like, you walk around these cities and it's like, even in Barcelona, I remember walking around, it's like, yeah, of course they have McDonald's and they have a few of the other ones, but they're few and far between. Like,
Yeah.
it's mostly a lot more, at least when I was walking around there, like local restaurants, bars, all
Especially
this
like
stuff.
food areas.
Yeah.
Like they have more, like in Italy, what I noticed is that food wise, there was a lot more like local places.
Yeah.
But like they did have like a big chain, like clothing stores.
Oh, yeah.
That was very common.
Like in Spain, Zara's everywhere.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
it's a Spanish
It is
company.
Spanish,
Yeah.
so that's understandable.
Zara's everywhere. There was H&M, like all that,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
the
yeah.
shopping, definitely.
Yeah.
But like the actual like restaurants, bars, that kind of stuff, there
Exactly.
wasn't really chains as
Ugh.
much. Yeah.
This is why, like, again, if I travel in like
Mm-hmm.
North America, I'm like, yeah, it's the same as any other city.
And how sad will it be if Europe becomes
I
like
really
North
don't
America?
want it to. But then it would, like, we might as well just not travel.
Well, exactly.
What the fuck's the point?
At that point,
Why would I travel fucking all the way to Europe, take a 10-hour flight
and
to go eat at McDonald's
and get Starbucks.
get Starbucks coffee? Nah.
Exactly. And on that positive note, guys, me and Rose are no longer traveling. So, except for Thailand and Bali, which is coming up.
And I'm going to Morocco
right.
in like basically a week.
Oh, god damn.
So, I mean, Morocco's going to be really interesting. I feel like Morocco would not have many chains.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm very excited for that. See, now this is like, I want to seek out the places where it's like, you know, there's no fucking Starbucks in every corner.
Well, I bet you there's probably still
There
one
probably
Starbucks in
is
there.
a Starbucks,
Yeah.
but I feel like it would be quite an interesting experience.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know.
It will.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Once again, make sure you check out our Patreon, patreon.com/The SaVeg Podcast. Once again, our March exclusive will be discussing the controversial video that Cosmic Skeptic has released.
And might I say that we're skeptic of this video?
Yes.
God, that was terrible.
We are a bit skeptical
We're
of
skeptical.
his video.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that in the new Patreon exclusive, which is coming very soon.
Yep.
So make sure you follow us or join us over on Patreon. And if you guys want to come with us to Bali and Thailand, you can check out the links in the show notes or description. And
If you're not already, guys, if you're watching this video on YouTube, took me a little while to get there, but I got there. If you're watching this video on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Give this video a thumbs up. Show us some love in the comment section. Clearly, we read them. And also, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, hit that follow. That way, you guys get updated as soon as there's new content on the platform. And yeah,
that's pretty much it,
that's
you
pretty much
guys.
it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.